So, friends, welcome to these soul care conversations with me, Mindy Caliguire. And as you know, if you've been tracking with us, we love hosting conversations about this intersection of the soul health and our engagement in the mission of God, our leadership, whether it's in ministries or in marketplace, in the home, whatever it is. And we hope that you'll hear some of your story as you engage with my friends who are here with me today, Grant and Cheyanne Skeldon. And we have a lot to talk about. So, let's see. How do I know you guys? And then what kind of work do you do? We met, gosh, you guys weren't even married yet. Were you barely even dating?
It was probably pretty fresh.
Yeah, maybe kind of knew we were in the relationship.
Yeah. And our whole family fell in love with you, like immediately.
Vice versa. It was also very true.
The boys, my husband, I remember you sitting in our living room and all that stuff. It was pretty fun.
It was so sweet.
And at that time, you were both living in Dallas. You were leading a ministry. I don't remember the name of it. Sorry, Ignite something.
Initiative. It was an I word.
Oh, okay. Good. And all around discipleship and next gen. And so maybe pull us back, because we're going to tell stories. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. But pull us back to that season. You were in a vocational discernment time. You were working for a corporate job, and I'll be embarrassing myself. It was real estate or something. I don't remember.
Commercial construction.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Commercial construction company right outside the Dallas area, owned by a Christian family, but we built a lot of schools. So,
So you were doing that, and you were also in grad school at the time, or you were considering it in formation?
I just decided, God had made it clear that I was to start an online MDiv. So
that was it.
Was just starting that, was trying to figure out some questions around just like spiritual formation and soul care, which interestingly wasn't a part of like my upbringing. I grew up in the church. But those weren't common kind of concepts or terms. Not that it wasn't integrated a bit from the Bible teaching that we received, but those as like their standalone concepts was just like it felt like a whole new frontier. It sort of opened up before me and felt like it just.
Well, it immediately captivated. Yeah, I remember when we would first talk about, you were in that discernment phase of the grad program and this frontier of soul care, spiritual formation. And from our earliest conversations, you were like, this is a lane that I really care about.
Yeah.
And that's been a through line since then, hasn't it?
It has. It's fun to know that we've been intersected since then. I think that just feels so intentional of God.
Yes.
It's really sweet.
Mad love for you guys. All right. And so Grant, talk a little bit about what you were doing in that season of your life, and maybe a little bit how that ties to your own story.
Yeah. I'll try to give it like a somewhat shorter version, but when I was around 23 to almost 24, I spoke at this big conference in Dallas that Tim Keller was a big part of, and the reason I bring it up is like I was like a pity invite to speak at this thing, like 2 days before. No, I really was. The conference was organized, ready, marketed.
Actually,
sold.
I know what that's like.
Yeah, and then two days before, and you're not in the pamphlet. Like,
right. So you're the
really,
surprise guest.
To be fair, having just come off of having hosted an event, sometimes it's not a pity invite. Sometimes it's truly like, oh shoot, I think we missed something. Who is coming that we could plug in?
You're so right. That definitely
last minute
happens.
Pivots,
That definitely
last
happens.
minute.
Because you've done a lot of
That's
events.
what was happening in that situation.
Okay, but that's not this one. Okay,
It's trying to.
Yeah, that's usually because like, wow, this person's here. We gotta get them up there. They could really add value. I was more like, they have hundreds of young people coming to this conference now, because I've been hired to bring young people into the conference about a month and a half out. And by the grace of God, me and some friends that have been mobilizing young people and uniting young people for years, it was the right time, right season, right people, right momentum and energy. And yeah, like hundreds came in about a month. So now all of a sudden this 2,000 person conference has about 400 to 500 young people. And 2 days before, I think they were like, well, we don't have any young speakers, and we have like 30 speakers, but no one in the millennial generation at that time was the next gen. And there was a millennial panel even with no millennials on the panel. And so it was like, but it happens all the time. Where
It does happen all the time.
next gen panel is those focused on the next gen, but no one in the next gen. And that's fine. we would never do that for any other group of people we were trying to reach. Like there's never the diversity panel. Like let's become a diverse church, but it's only non-diverse people talking about it, or how do we engage women better in the church, and it's
no
only
women on the
men
panel.
talking about it.
Yeah.
But I
and
may
I'm
have heard a few of those, but that's a separate issue.
It is a different podcast episode, but I was like, and I also want to validate that all those leaders have amazing things that they are doing
Yes,
and can
of
say.
course.
It's just like
Of course.
interesting to not. It's missing something to not have the voice. I mean,
So it was intentional to pull you in at the last minute. Probably smart.
yeah, we'll assume the best motives. And so I was there, and honestly, I was gonna go and like trying to convict. Actually, I think at the time, people I feel like were kind of
that's your
crapping.
superpower.
Yeah, well, it's because of the millennial. If you remember, millennials, it's very different than how we talk about Gen Z. Gen Z just started
Yeah, that's
breathing, and we got excited about them. We were like, man, they're the revival generation, the future of the church. Millennials didn't experience that.
They
I
did
feel
not.
like millennials was like skinny jeans and selfies, social media, the participation trophies, which we didn't come up with. Our parents gave it to us.
Right, it wasn't our fault.
Yeah, but we got like a lot of stuff held over our head. And so
Yeah.
I almost felt like this, I got to defend our generation and speak up for our generation. Even the pity invite thing kind of made me like, even this is like last second. So I'm like, I'm going to say all things that were true, but the heart was a little hard. It was kind of like, you can't expect what you don't invest. You guys are like farmers that make crops, and then you complain to God and the crops, why don't you grow it? But I'm like, do you water it? Do you prune it? Are you guys involved in our lives? And all of it was like true, but I really felt in the pit of my stomach the day before that God was like, do not go with that kind of posture and heart. Even if it's true, it's wrong. And it's not right, actually. And so I felt convicted to just like tell good stories of like the older people who really impacted your life.
Oh my goodness.
And tell amazing stories of like
What
the
a
older
turn.
people who like shifted who you are and helped you become who you are. And I decided, okay, I'll just tell the best stories of the older people, which helped me. And then I'll just say at the end, hey, I'm just telling you the best leaders I know have people like that in their life. So more inspire them than guilt them, which we know. And again, I was 23 years old. So and
There's a lot of grace for that.
But I got
And you have a passion for that generation.
yeah, and I actually speak, though we lead a lot of things for Next Gen. We actually speak a lot to the older generation to better help them understand the Next Gen.
Yeah.
But I got 16 speaking invites from that one thing. So when people ask, how did you become like a Next Gen speaker? Guys, that one event snowballed into more and more events that then continue to be more and more events. And I say all that.
Can I say something? Because I've heard you share this story a number of times, and it's the first time I've had this distinct thought. If you'd gone in there with like the initial posture, I wonder if that would have led to the kind of
For sure not.
like
no.
launching pad
Who
that
would want to
was in your
invite
life.
some young kid to like just rag on them? Even
Yeah.
it's just that approach would not. It's like the kindness leads to repentance, and I really see it as like thank God listened, and I think it inspires people to just give us a model and show us what works. And all that to say, that thrust me into speaking a lot more, which also thrust me into the phrase "leadership is lonely." I don't know, you know that, and a lot of the audience does. I am starting to finally experience that. I'd heard it, but I was like, man, the more I succeed as an early 20-something, the more I travel to these cool things, amazing, but also the more lonely I become.
Yep.
The more I like hire team members and then we have to raise all this money. Also, the less I feel connected to people my generation, because no one else my generation
Is
could I
carrying
talk
that.
to
No.
about that.
No.
Everyone I talked to about it fundraising was like 10 to 20 years older. Every book contracts, all these types of things, no one else was doing that I knew in Dallas and at that moment. And I knew some at other places. And that's what Eric Swanson, one of those older leaders who changed my life, was like, hey, don't think you need to move to those cities in order to have community and friendship. He said, never take for granted the power of 4 vulnerable, intentional days together. And he's like, you do a retreat. Like, maybe what if you did some retreats together? That kind of thrust into doing a retreat for about 15 leaders. I would say to this day, 8 to 10 of them are some of my closest friends.
Oh, wow.
And that was almost a decade ago now. One of them is our pastor. And he's 30 years old, younger than both of us. But this church in Nashville, Way Church, it's taken off in 2.5 years. And I would say because we've all like stayed together and I kind of started speaking more on the next gen to the older generation, and also creating spaces for young leaders to
Love
be
it.
healthy, be bold, and just have great friends while you do it.
Yeah. And not believe this lie that being a leader is always only ever going to require you to stay alone and isolated.
Yeah. Now
like you could resist that now.
Yeah, resist. I like that thinking and posture. I think leadership is prone to be lonely, and so you have to fight.
You have to fight
forge friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when in that journey did you guys start connecting? And then
we met, I think, a week, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's really cool actually.
Before that ever first retreat that you hosted.
Yeah, we met like at least 2 weeks before the very first retreat we ever did. So it was, two big things happening at the time. At the time I didn't realize like we would be married. So I didn't realize that retreat would become something it did.
Right.
That retreat was more of Eric's like, I can get you a place, just do a retreat. This is more for your friendship. But I saw how much those guys needed the community too, and needed those spaces to slow down. That within a year and a half, I would divert all of what I was doing in Dallas to the nation for young leaders. It's like within that 2-week window was the origin of this relationship and those relationships.
So how has her through line of caring for the soul impacted you personally, Grant, and your relationship?
Oh, that's a fun question. I'm curious your thoughts on that one.
I want to hear your thoughts, and then I want to hear yours as well.
Okay.
Or maybe we'll start with yours while he's thinking. Yeah.
Well, I'll add quickly because you're saying you have a question as well.
No. I was just saying I'm curious what
my answer is.
Nancy's would be.
How it's definitely impacted me and impacted, I would say, all of us is that I'm very Paul-like, and actually this will be a great conversation. You two would be great to talk to, especially you as the expert.
Where are we going?
But I'm a lot more.
Giggle. Did you hear that?
I'm a lot more Paul-like.
Yeah.
And I'm going one to the next thing, and I'm connecting people and stirring things up at this city, and then riding to this other city. And I like to do that, and I feel like calling to do that. From a young age, early in my faith, I felt a conviction and prompting that I maybe couldn't unite the church, but I could really make a dent in uniting the next generation of leaders of the church.
Beautiful.
And I've 20-ish years of being a Christian now, I actually seeing a pretty good dent of doing that. And I couldn't impact everyone, but I was like, if you get them when they're young, they're more moldable. They're looking for that community, and we get to do that together. But unfortunately, that does mean I'm not going really deep with all those people. Even this last 2 years, she's heard me say this a lot, and I'm not trying to speak death over me, but sometimes I have been saying and feeling, man, I'm kind of hitting a capacity of how many people I can remember and names.
Yes.
And there'll be times, I don't know if it's an age thing or I've got to my inbox is full of someone will be like, oh, this person. I'm like, hey, and I could tell you so many details. Like, I cannot remember that person's name. And I used to be really, really good at that.
Yeah.
And so we've been in conversations with people when someone's looking over the shoulder. Unfortunately, it's the next person, or I need to connect with them or them. Unfortunately, I have a propensity towards that. She will go to a party that I would host for like 150 leaders, or we do together, but she'll only talk to like 2 of those people and I just could not. I just, even if I was like, I feel, if I felt compelled by God to do it, I would do it. It would still take a lot of work. Well, for her, it's more natural in her sweet spot. Yeah. And as our leaders now don't just need community, because we've done a great job of providing that for them, she's really good at, now they're encountering the things that you help leaders with, is like navigating the deeper inner things that I think she gets to help leaders in ways they know I'm not the guy to probably do that to the degree that she can. Even the guide leaders, she's really, really good with. Yeah. No, I would and then imagine. You add on top of that life plan and what she's doing with the Patterson Center. Now she's helped some of my favorite leaders that, like, there are some that within an inner circle that they just come to everything. They're like really integrated into your life. And she's done life plans. So 2 days, it's like half day is almost borderline counseling and pulling out what's the themes of what God's doing in your story. Yeah. And then day 2 is more like, okay, life mapping based on the themes. Yeah. I think that's the tag team situation that really helps.
Definitely. So how do you see your passion for that inner life, for the soul, playing out in Grant's life, in your relationships, and then in your shared ministry? I think Grant was just painting a picture of the shared ministry piece of it as well.
That's really good.
Can I actually, I realize I also want to just get to my question though too.
Yes.
And then let's go into some of the dynamics, because it's cool that how do we complement each other while doing these things and schedules and all that. But I was talking about Paul, and I've wondered, is Paul a healthy leader? Like, was he healthy as a leader? Because he definitely was doing a lot, and he's got that list that, to certain leaders, are like, you dang straight, like he's getting shipwrecked and bitten by snakes, and he's going to the nines for the
stronger,
gospel.
Faster, harder.
But I'm sure
won't stop.
there's a growing camp that would probably say, I don't know if that's good. Like, I don't know if you were
literally
married.
Texting with the CEO this morning, who I know pretty well, who was saying, do we have any record, anything in the Bible that you think would suggest that the disciples ever burned out?
Yeah.
And
it's a great question.
It is a great question. And I don't have an answer yet. I told him I'm going to think about it because my head went to Paul, of course. Not as evidence of burnout. There's actually some really interesting, somebody pointed this out to me years ago. You may have heard this as well. A thought that perhaps Paul's discipleship reflects a journey into deeper humility.
Yeah.
That can be seen by the timing. That it's not the letters in sequence that were written, but the timing where he said he was the least of all the apostles. And then he's like, oh, I'm the least of all the people of God. And the time sequence third is I'm the least of all sinners. And does that possibly suggest that Paul's growth and maturity was recognizing an increase in humility? That he's self-referencing, well, I'm the least of the apostles, but I'm actually, over time, I'm the least of sinners.
Yeah, that's really good.
And it's an interesting thought. I don't know. I can't for sure answer your question, but I have to, everything I know to be true about the soul is that he had to have been firing on all those cylinders from a deep life with God.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was lying.
Yeah.
When he was writing from jail with a death sentence on his head, that we could consider it joy. That patience would produce good things. I don't think he was making that up. I think the Spirit was writing certainly through him, but I think he was writing of his lived experience. And so we see the highlight reel, like our Instagrams, right? We see the highlight reel of the snakes and the healings and the this and that. But I mean, he spent 14 years in complete obscurity before entering public ministry.
Yep.
Maybe longer. Nobody's quite sure. So I don't know. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah. I have a thought that I want to double click on. And I don't even know how convinced I am of my own thoughts. So maybe this would be fun to talk about and debate. I also, I don't think it's fair to demonize fast-paced people either. And the analogy that, and I'm not saying either of you are doing this, but in my own mind and thinking, I think in terms of pendulum swings a lot and a spectrum. And I think as a society, even not just Christian culture, but culture in general, we went on this pendulum swing from all of the doing and the productivity and all the hacks to more of this swing of it's not about what you do, it's about who you are. And I think that is true. Unfortunately, there can also be an unhealthy version of that where it becomes a little too life and focus can become a little too self-centered, a little too, oh, well, what do I need? And, I don't want anything to disrupt my peace. And and again, there are bits and elements of that need to be true, but the integration piece, I love you use that word so often, Mindy, is how do you actually hold a healthy tension of both? And anyhow, so the analogy came to my mind of well, if you're wired to run like a Mustang, is it healthy for you to just walk everywhere? Or were you actually made to gallop? But if you're wired as a turtle, it's are you wired? And so I think just knowing who has God made you to be?
Yeah.
And then finding out what is the healthiest, most submitted, but also most activated version of that.
Yep.
How do I live fully into the healthiest and most humble version of who God's actually made me to be?
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of how I kind of see our dynamic too.
Correct, because you bring that perspective to Grant. I love the pace. I see it. It's right. It's of God. And
but I
let's
can't
also
run that fast all the time either.
Well, see, this is the last time the three of us were together. Is
Yeah,
we were
it
having
was.
some
that's true.
really good conversations about like what does activated look like for you, and what does it look like for you, and how do you meld and that's a very common conversation for ministry leader couples who each have a ministry in their own right, and then have a combined. Here's Jeff and I talk about it, the yours, mine, and ours. You know, what's yours, what's mine, and what's ours, and you function in that same space. And that was one of the last things we talked about. I do want to go back to the life planning thing in a minute, because that is a space where I see you helping people do that work of integration. Who has God made you to be?
Yeah.
What is it that helps your soul stay alive and thriving?
Yeah.
So maybe say a little bit about what life planning is, and what's a unique approach to it that you take?
Yeah, that's a great question. So life plan is this process. It's been around for over 50 years at this point. But it is designed as a 2-day intensive. It's done either one-on-one or one with a couple. And it's you work through a series of over 20 different exercises. And I picture the exercises almost like a lattice. The lattice is always the same, but the plant and the vine that grows across it is so different for every person. And so it's designed to be like just enough structure and just enough kind of direction to help you arrive at a certain place, which is really answering those questions like, who has God made you to be? And what's the invitation he has for your life? What is your unique sort of call or purpose?
Yeah.
What's the thing that he's uniquely wired you to do and engage with in the world and community around you? And so we just work through a whole different set of exercises that's really just anchored in like, how do we gain truth-based perspective on your life? And we do a ton of story work. You know, what are the different turning points in your journey along the way where life was moving one certain direction, but then something happened? It was maybe a person or an event or a conversation or a moment, and all of a sudden life to an extreme degree, or even those really, really subtle kind of turns along the way, but it changed the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
And so we take a lot of time, we really map those out. We spend a lot of time, I try to do a lot of discernment with the Holy Spirit, like help me see like what you've been up to in this person's life.
Oh, beautiful.
Like, how does this actually give me your perspective from a very kind of like high level overview of who they are and how you've also been molding and forming and shaping them like wet clay in the potter's hands over time.
Wow.
And so it all continues to sort of build off of that.
Yeah.
We do a lot around like, you know, one of my favorite exercises is called the thinking wavelength.
Yeah.
I'm a big framework person. I love anything that's frameworky. And then I especially love if it's personality assessment.
Yeah.
And so it's this exercise that's designed like, are you more of a concrete thinker? Or you're more of an abstract thinker? And where do you fall on that particular spectrum? And then what does that mean in terms of, that's one more puzzle piece. It's one more clue into who God's made you. And so we go on this 2-day journey and collect the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Like all these different clues, how, you know, what are your core values? What are your rules of the road? What are the unique talents and strengths and gifts God's put in you? What's the unique heart? Like what's actually stirring up in you in this season? What are you dreaming about? What do you hope is most true of you at the end of your life? All of these things kind of come together as different, you know, proverbial puzzle pieces on the table. And eventually we get to the point where it's like, okay, now we've got enough puzzle pieces. We can start laying them together to see what the bigger picture is.
Oh, I love that. And it's occurring to me as you're talking that the high-paced, fast-paced type leaders, the invitation to 2 whole days.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining maybe a lot of your clients are people that are part of your community.
Yeah.
They run fast, they fly high, and the gift of the slowing to even consider those things must be you have to create a certain amount of safety for someone to really consider that inner life and the stories that have shaped them or not, because they're used to answering fast and being the, you know, the main voice in a room, and you're inviting them to let the Holy Spirit be the main voice and have I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'd say that I think most humans have never had someone with that level of intentionality and attention listen to them for 2 days. Even if you go to a lot of counseling, those sessions are usually shorter. So to have 2 days, just it's not that I think people don't want to go deeper. The conversation never goes long enough, or is the person asking enough questions to be like, hear what's below the surface.
Yeah.
And she kind of gets to go like 4 or 5 layers, because you might be like, you are someone who strikes me to be one of these kind of people. It's not just like, how's everything going? It's like, for real, like, how is it going? There's those kind of Christians, and you might then get to like layer 2, if you will. But yeah, you get to go like, and then what about that? And then it's like my dad, and then when I was a kid, and then it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that impact. Like that person doesn't even subconsciously realize it.
That's
and
the gift of the facilitator.
Yeah. Most people never have any experience like that ever.
Yeah. It's a huge blessing. Oh man, I have so many threads I want to pull on, like the assumptions about the younger generations and the push to activism and leadership and rest. That maybe we'll circle back to that. But what keeps coming to mind is the last evening that we were all together.
That's good, yeah.
We were talking about, first of all, we had that great conversation in the car. It was kind of about y'all, and you were like, all right, I'm leaving you two. I got to get in there. It was great.
Gotta go to dinner.
Yeah. I mean, it was great. We had finished the part that you were part of, and then Cheyanne and I needed to keep chatting, which was lovely.
That was good, because I'll find out what y'all talked about now.
That's good. No. And then at dinner, this is actually related to this activation thing. Oh, go ahead.
Because there was layer. It's like it was a tiered conversation.
Yes, it was.
At the church on the drive in the parking spot. And then the part 4 was, all right, you guys are going to keep talking. I'm going to this dinner that we are going to.
It was good. But let me just pause and say, it is such a joy to journey with you guys, to have known you throughout these seasons of your life, and to sort of see over time how God is continuing to use you uniquely and then together. I just think there's such a beautiful gift in how you're contending for what that should be and what it would look like. And there's no pattern out there that you can look at and be like, oh, this is how it should go. You're going to have to create the path, which is lonely at times. But you're surrounded by so many people who love you and believe in you. And
thanks, Mindy.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Just such a gift to have you as a friend, a guide, a faithful friend, to just be like, I think I just need to call Mindy.
and I do care.
Grab her elbow
if
and
I'm saying,
sit in the car and listen to all the random car alarms start going off. Do you remember that as we were sitting in the parking lot?
It was so funny.
There were like 4 or 5 different car alarms that just kept going off, and we were giggling at it. So anyhow, so
you can have great conversations in a parking lot.
You really can.
We really could.
It's the best place for them.
Later at that dinner, you were talking about culture index.
Yes.
And I had recently pulled mine out for some reason, or you were asking about it, and you're like, I find this to be a really helpful assessment. I pulled out the version of mine that I had from like 2019, so wasn't recent. And you're like, wait, I've never seen anybody that has a score like that one particular thing. You said something like, how do you sleep at night? Or I don't remember what you said, but it was so lovely to have someone like see a thing and notice something. And we won't go into it in great detail, but like that thread from you saying that caused me to pursue that more deeply, to find out more from my team who had done that. Now our whole team has gone in and done this.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we had Janie Mahaffey, who you may know. She went and did a whole readout for us like 2 days ago, Monday of this week.
That's amazing. Oh, wait, I want to hear so much more about this.
I know, but you started a thing just by observing, by noticing, by asking about it. And I guess what's coming to mind is those who are listening to this and getting to know you guys, whatever, it's like not everyone's going to get the chance to go sit with you for 2 days, but the gift of a question, the gift of noticing, the gift of showing someone, oh, here's what this assessment said about me, like, I don't know, might mean I should go sit in a corner. And
it's kind of a vulnerable thing.
That's what
there's kind of this, like, I'm going to give you this peek into like maybe a deeper part of me.
Yeah.
And I hope that you don't, judge me in some way or think, a certain thing or, I
will say at this point, I have found the results of that thing to be actually quite liberating and challenging. Yeah. It's like, it's been a little bit of a healthy push for me.
So good.
Okay, so maybe talk a little bit about the things that you guys are doing together now. You've hinted at it, some of these gatherings and things like that. What are some of the areas of yours, mine, and ours that are most inspiring? What's keeping you like excited to get on a plane and hang out together?
There's 2 things that come to mind, and definitely chime in. But the 2 things that come to mind is we've been doing retreats together for young leaders. we are definitely in even a big brother, big sister season now.
That's beautiful.
Like we'll do a retreat in 2 weeks for all these like high capacity Gen Z leaders. So they're like pro athletes or a lot of content creators, online influencers.
Yep.
I think there's like a professional horse jumping over the
Equestrian kind of thing?
Yeah, like with the ones that can jump
Dressage or
over,
something?
race over. Let's cut this from the. But it's like
There is no cutting, Grant. You're in.
whatever the sport is where they jump over those wooden blocks.
I think we've got the idea.
Yeah.
Somebody that's good
but
at
we're
that.
always looking for like interesting young Christians with unique influence, and this one is 27 or younger. And so I was just I don't think I even told you this Jason Jackson kid. We just met. He's a great kid. If you have young people and you want them to follow Christians online, his content's amazing.
Yeah.
He has nearly 1 million followers. We met him yesterday, and he was like, I didn't realize he's only 24 years old. And he was like pumped to potentially come. And I was like, man, 24 years old. I was like, I am 12 years older than this kid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we're definitely not in the next gen, but we are definitely like big brothers, big sisters to them. So we get to do that in our own giftings. But another thing that's like really new is it's so cool is to do like workshops and speaking and teaching, not just like at conferences, but for organizations or churches and their teams.
Yeah.
We never we don't have a page for that or a request for that.
Yeah.
But it just has been asked while we're at something. They're like, could you also speak to our team?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Southeastern University, we got to do that with Crossroads, big church in Ohio.
Yeah.
And what's been really unique, it's pretty rare to ever see something like this where I like not working day to day with Cheyanne. It'd be my preference. I think it's amazing when you can work with your spouse, but it also creates a lot of challenges. Like I don't want to leave work and be like, we're both tired because we both experience the same thing. I want to be like, I'm tired from your job, but at least now we can see each other. Not like, man, today was a long day. Let's just not go out tonight. Or like, hey, did you get that email? We already got enough stuff we got to talk through. So, but though we don't work together, I would say we work adjacent with each other. We work parallel. Like the fact that I work for Gabe Lyons at Think and she works for David Kinnaman at Barna, and both of our bosses have written 2 books together.
That's really interesting
unique.
overlap.
That is
very interesting overlap. Yeah.
And then like we've always been doing next gen stuff, but that even working now with Barna, I'm finding in the last few months as that's been the case, is really cool. Every time she's my +1. Now it's like, oh, she's with Barna? Like, it'd be cool if she wanted to share this or do this, or like, man, our staff I'd love for them to hear some stuff from Barna, because Barna's not a next-gen focused ministry, but it definitely is one of the core things we get our research from. So I'd say it's the helping the core of the church leaders, but also helping this upcoming, rising new generation of leaders.
I love that. All right, let's talk about the new. First of all, I never even said exactly what you guys do work-wise now.
Yeah.
I probably should.
Is there anything you'd add? I know I don't know if there's anything else.
They were the exact 2 things that came to mind for me. The only thing I would add on the getting to go and like pour into teams together, I think we are in such a phase, and I don't know if it's a phase, maybe it's a part of just kind of our own wiring. We love a good workshop. Like Grant and I love a good, like here's some content, especially if it's attached to a framework, whether that's some sort of, personality assessment, work wiring assessment. There's one that we really love doing around fivefold, a pest, where what's kind of your unique spiritual gifting and wiring in that lane, and
even culture index. We've done that so many times for young leaders because it helps you see some of your work wiring. I'm curious for her, like what if you remember what you saw, but have you heard energy units was like super high, or was it your pace or autonomy?
Her combination and the pattern of it was not represented on that sheet that shows all of the different types.
How is that possible?
That's exactly what I said.
It's like 16.
I was like, I've never seen this. It wasn't on there. Anyhow, we'll have to pull it out and look at it. Maybe at some point, if you want, we can do it on the podcast.
We can do that.
He's even better at interpreting them.
I can do that. I am. I've got it right here.
That. I've studied it a little bit more deeply
They did sort of claim me in one of the categories, I think, but as a atypical.
Did you
Very
have you
atypical.
retaken it since you and I
did.
had the conversation?
I did.
Was it the same? Was there a significant difference?
Same, and especially on the one that you called out,
That's cool.
which was really, really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I'll just do a plot point if we ever go back to it. So it's there's the four main things that
Yes.
create the top, and then the logic and
Creativity,
ingenuity. Okay.
Yeah.
Logic, very high, didn't surprise me at all for me. Ingenuity, you said, I've never seen a score that high. And that was your
Like
point
what,
where you
over
said,
7?
how do you sleep? Oh, it's 9, I think.
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've probably seen like 600, and
I don't know
it's
if
very
I've ever
rare that it's
seen-
above 8. Actually,
Yeah. I
even
don't know if
people
I've
that I'm
ever
like
seen
they're
it
so creative. It's
So-
not.
And I used the analogy
yeah.
with Mindy when we were at dinner. I was like, that's not just the person who's looking at a pen and being like, oh, we could do this really cool thing. It's like, it's the person who looks at a pen and says, how do we make a pen fly?
Yeah.
Like, it's that level of engineering. I was like, Mindy, that is just how your brain operates. And then the conversation that came afterwards was really sweet because it was like we could just sort of see these data points and moments in your different parts of your journey. It was like, oh, interesting. I wonder if that was at play here, or how much of a factor that was here, or how that maybe led to some, maybe misunderstanding or misinterpretation in other ways. So,
We'll have to go after
I'm such
that
a
and
fan
get
of
after that
Mindy.
in
I'm like,
another
I just wanna
conversation.
want the whole world to know you are actually just so amazing. But all that to say, we love a great framework.
Yeah.
And we truly believe, like, we just live in a day and age where there is over saturation in terms of content, but not as much in terms of connection. And so workshops are kind of the perfect blending of the two of those.
Beautiful.
Because it gives people common language and a shared framework to begin creating just like a sandbox for some mutual understanding. It's like, okay, if we can get people speaking the same language, if we can get them all utilizing the same thing to whatever degree it's helpful, but it actually gives people some handles
Yeah.
to begin to navigate things, to begin to work through things, to better collaborate, to better partner.
Love
the
it.
whole concept of, are you on the right seat and the right bus? Like,
Totally.
it can just feel really empowering, and like you're giving people a sense of agency and helping nix like overwhelm or anxiety that comes from, well, these things are just happening. I'm not quite sure where they're coming from, so I don't quite know how to respond. I'm not quite sure how to lean in or engage. And all of a sudden, if you can just bring another layer of clarity into a person's world, I think that only gives them more of what God's already given us in our free will of like, okay, well, now you have agency.
Now we can go.
To navigate this, you've got some tools in your tool belt. You have some language you can use. And so we've really loved doing that, especially with just like teams and staff, people who are regularly working together and trying to figure out like, how can we do that even more effectively? How can we,
Because if you can unlock that, you unlock so much for an organization.
Exactly.
You unlock so much for an individual and then an organization. And
Yeah.
that sort of unlocking is where people end up getting stuck. And so a lot of people are stuck right now. I would wonder for you guys, either speak to your peers, like a millennial generation, which you're on the younger end of millennial, is that not?
We are.
Yeah. And then the generations sort of still coming up. I want to talk about what you're seeing about burnout and what does that look like, sound like, smell like in that generation. And then if we can split these two apart, how do you address what you were talking about earlier about, because this is both perception and reality that, I've heard of like 23-year-olds that are like, they've been on the mission field for 6 months and they're like, I need a sabbatical. And the 45 to 55-year-olds are going, you got to be kidding.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And maybe it's lack of language that's what they're reaching for.
Sure.
There's probably a real need there, but it's a big miss.
Yeah.
Generationally.
Yeah.
So first, can you guys speak to maybe both of you, whoever wants to go first, on like, what are you noticing about burnout? Because every data point I'm getting is that it's continuing to increase.
Yeah. My immediate thought is anytime I hear, especially a young person, however relative that is, use that term, I try to get more clear on what exactly does that mean and what does it look like.
Great.
Because I think language also really matters. And sometimes they're trying to use language to describe something they're experiencing, but might not be my own same definition for burnout.
Yeah.
Or might not be what they even are thinking it is. And so a lot of times I'll just start trying to ask questions of, oh, well, where are you feeling the tension? And then just like listening for the words they're using. Are they using the words exhausted? Are they using the word tired? Do they feel stuck? Do they feel unappreciated? Do they feel like they're not getting to actually utilize all that's within them? All of those are, in my mind, very different things that often will get sort of described as burnout. And they can be different sides of that kind of burnout experience.
What other questions do you ask? That was a great question. Where are you feeling it? What other kinds of questions would you ask somebody who's...
Where it's showing up.
Okay.
Like, how does it feel in your body? And then when are you experiencing it most? Is it at work? Is it when you get home? Is it you can't fall asleep at night? Is it you can't wake up in the morning? Is it
great
tension in your familial relationships, your friendships? Are you feeling really disconnected? Are you just on the go all the time? Like, I'm trying to get a glimpse into like if you could see somebody's day-to-day life and world. In Life Plan, we use the language domains. Like, there are 4 kind of key domains to all of our lives, and they're all connected. But in my mind, they're different sides of the same thing. You've got your personal domain. So, like, who are you personally? Like, your character, your values, your own intimate relationship with the Lord, your physical health, intellectual health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health. All of that kind of sits in the personal domain. So I'll kind of ask questions through that lens.
Yeah.
Like, I won't use that language with them. I'm like, let me ask you some personal domain questions.
About your domain.
But in my mind, I'm like, okay, how can I understand you a little bit more from this? The second domain is family.
Yeah.
What's going on with your family? Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you have siblings, parents, in-laws? Like, what does that look like for that person? Are there tension points in there? The third key domain is vocation. And that includes both the work that you get paid for and the work that you don't. So are you volunteering? Are you a stay-at-home mom? I would argue if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're actually holding down 3 full-time jobs. And so you're just asking, like, okay, are you feeling tension? Is that with your boss? Is that in the work that you're doing? Are you feeling that more just because you're being asked to maybe work outside of certain hours that you feel like are your... we use Carrie Newhoff's green, yellow, and red zone language a lot. So it's like, are you operating out of your zone? So asking really good questions about vocation. And then community is the 4th domain.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so asking, like, well, are you plugged into a local church? Do you feel like you have friends who really know what's going on in your life? Where are those friends? How often do you see them? What are the conversations you have? Like, it's just depending on how a person responds, it's just kind of pulling. And honestly, I think is a bit of discernment and just asking the Lord, like, okay, help me understand and just help me to ask a good question. Because sometimes what somebody might be experiencing as burnout is actually God trying to redirect them, but they don't recognize that it's Him calling them.
Great distinction.
It is that I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I thought you were calling me, Samuel.
Right, Samuel, right.
It's those moments.
And the season of life that many younger folks are in is going to involve shifts and redirections and maturing and all kinds of things that could naturally be expected, and it would be a false attribution to call it burnout. So how prevalent would you say among your peers, the people you're working with? Is this a topic that people are talking about? Are you more read in statistics? Where do you hear it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the nature of my work as a life planner, and probably just a little bit of my wiring is more of like a shepherd type, who's wanting to check in on people. I think I'm having a lot of conversations where people are willing to just kind of pull back the curtain on their life and have a moment of vulnerability, which is just one of the most sacred honors, I think, to be let into that. I am hearing conversations around burnout. I do feel like there are things happening in our world, just the pace that we tend to live at, how rapidly things are changing, the implications of AI, especially for the next generation, and specifically what it will mean for the work that's even available to them.
Correct.
In the coming, 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 years.
Even just it looming on the horizon is producing so much.
So much
I mean, it's not
anxiety.
the horizon, it's here, but nobody knows exactly what those next few years are going to be like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you recognize, okay, we don't live maybe in the strongest economy ever. So many friends our age who are absolutely crushing it in what God's called them to do. Like, they are not the lazy sitting on their mom's couch in the basement playing video games all the time. Like, they are hustling for the kingdom.
Yeah.
And like, so many of our friends aren't even able to like afford to buy their first home.
Right.
And so I think we're just kind of in this really interesting, there's a lot of layers, both just like socially, economically, personally, I think so much of what the next generation has experienced, because like we all experienced COVID as adults. That was hard enough. We were doing that with fully formed brains.
Yeah.
The next generation was not. They missed out on some of their key socializing years.
Yes.
They missed out on a lot of key milestones with one another. Like that happened at a time in their life where quite literally just like the psychological brain development was at a very...
Never mind the impact from social media and everything else
Yes.
and cell phones.
Very
that has
valuable
also
time in
compromised everything.
Yes. And I was having a conversation, maybe a year or so ago, with a couple of friends who are older brothers and sisters in the faith. And it was a very friendly, just like candid lunch conversation. And they were kind of lovingly joking and poking fun at, you know, the fact that the next generation, this, that, and the other. And, you know, they seem to be almost have like this kind of weird sense of humor, like dark sense of humor around just like death and the end of the world, you know, whatever. And we were just kind of all laughing about it. And I was like, well, also guys, where were you on 9/11? Do you remember exactly where you were? Because I remember exactly where, and they were like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, that for us was like a once in a lifetime event.
Yeah.
Kids nowadays are on their phone, and as they're scrolling, they get a video of a bomb dropping in Palestine or Israel and people like having to flee for their lives. The next video is like somebody dancing. The next video is like how to do a home DIY. The next video is like another earthquake hits XYZ and millions of people did whatever. Like,
it's 4 seconds.
It's 4 seconds. And both of the friends I was talking with, they just kind of stopped. They said, we've never thought about it that way. I can't imagine having something that big happen in the world and that be the way that we
learn about it
and that we have access to all of it. Yeah. And so I think I have a like very compassionate and tender heart for where I think it would be really easy to criticize Gen Z for some of these things. And I think some of it's a fair critique. Like sometimes I think, you know, like a good older brother, older sister, it's like, all right, come on, like you'll be all right, get off the floor. Like let's keep going. Sometimes they need that. And then also sometimes it's like, and that's kind of a lot that no other generation before you has had to navigate that particular thing.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
That's okay. We can figure it out together. Doesn't mean you have like, you need to just like get stuck in it and let that become something you're like clinging to, but we can move through it together.
Grant, have you experienced any kind of burnout in your own life, or have you walked closely with somebody who has? How has that shown up for you?
Yeah, I would say that I have. In 2018, I did. This was soon after meeting Cheyanne. And so I'm trying to think of how to set up this. I met Cheyanne in a slower time of my life. And by that, I mean just in months, not a season. And I mostly speak at conferences. And why that's important is it's actually a great rhythm if you are a speaker and you are mostly at conferences, because conferences, you maybe never thought about it because you had no reason to, but conferences generally are in March, April, and May, and not in the summer.
October.
And then they're like, September, October, November.
It's got a very predictable rhythm.
Those are like the 6 months of the year. And luckily, they're not even 6 months consecutively. They are 3 months on, and it would usually be 3 months off, 3 months on, and 3 months off. And that was, it was a great situation of some rhythm. Well, I met her right after, or at least we got a lot more time together right after the 3 months off. And so, or on. And so we were, for a while, we were getting to know each other and get to hang out a lot because I wasn't on the road as much. But around the time it got serious and we were really dating, and then it was about in March, I had a philosophy, I still have leaned to this way a little bit, is if you're available, and you need to have a filter, but especially at that time in my early 20s, I was like, if I'm free, I'm down.
You said yes to everything.
Yeah, like why not? And a lot of my life as a connector and a convener and a uniter, people would be like, oh, you know everyone. It's because I said yes to everything. And it's because especially if it was in a diverse, unique, different circle, and I don't mean racially alone, I mean denominationally, I mean industry, I mean parts of the country. Like I like being in those different spaces and connecting those dots and those people. And so I just was on the road a lot. Unfortunately, at that time, I wasn't the best communicator of when I would be on the road, so they could prepare to know, next week or 2 months from now or 3 months. So I also didn't have to, I was usually doing it by myself. So now being in a serious relationship, it's also as hard as she wasn't my wife. And so I don't run it by my girlfriend. And every person that I talked to was giving advice on how do you stay like united while being on the road. They were all married. And so they were doing that and figuring that out as a married couple. But I was like,
you have a
but I was
different,
like, but you're like, have a grid like with your spouse and with your kids and even maybe with your staff at your church. This is very different. I'm not a staff. It's just me. So I want to communicate the best on when I was going to be gone ahead of time to make plans properly. And two, I was really bad at making communication while there. Because in my heart and mind at that time, it was, I want to be present. I want to be present with the people there. But, you know, the
out of sight, out of mind.
The rhythm of the rhythm of, hey, I got to leave this tonight right now. Just give me like 10 minutes. I'm going to go check in with my spouse, or I'm going to go read and pray over my kids before they go to bed. Like I see my mentors and leaders I look up to, they have those rhythms. How do you stay plugged in at home too? And so, anyway, I wasn't good at communicating. Then saying yes to all these things. And I just remember the big story was there was one time when I was coming back, and usually I wouldn't want to argue about anything if I'm not coming back from out the road or have heavy conversation. And I remember I had this trip to Brazil coming up, and I was going to be there speaking for 10 days. And I just come back, I think, from Denver, and I didn't talk well to her in the sense of like, hey, it's like I just don't exist when you're on the road sometimes. But then when you're here, it's great. You know, I was like, because, when I was there with them, I was all there. Again, not really dumb. I feel like sucks just telling stories now because I don't agree with all this anymore. But
but I do want to say, like, I appreciated about this about you then, and I still do now. I love that you do have a heart to be present with the people you're actually with. And that you're not trying to, constantly just like you do want to be with the people you're with. But it just was just such a unique season because you were also publishing your first book at that time too.
Yeah.
So it was a really full season for you. There was a lot going on.
And mind you, when I dated Cheyanne, I for a good while didn't tell her too much what I was doing, and I wasn't doing much that season. So it was just getting to hang out. And I really liked being liked for just Grant, not Grant leader, speaker, author, any of that. So it was really refreshing for me. And then I had just got out of a relationship with a girl for about 3 years who helped me start that initiative organization. And they put us on stage all the time. So like co-host these types of things.
Yeah.
All the, like, we're just very public speaking figures together. And it was almost like, when you see a church and it's like the husband and the wife are always leading it. But again, we weren't married because I was in my really early 20s then. And when we broke up, it makes it really hard if you're trying to navigate that as a young leader and you're like, do I do this together? But if we break up.
You had a lot going on all at the same time.
Layers.
But
so this resulted in you burning out?
Then, what happened is then when I was with her, I was like, I want to just be like, we'll just have our own relationship. It's not private. No one knows. It's not going to be this like public.
Yeah, I get
or always
that.
on stage type of thing. So when we break up, it's just really hard for you and for us. And I, for years after that breakup, I would always get asked, how is that person? Because they would always see us together. So I was like, let's not make it that official until it's official, like marriage.
Yeah.
But the point of bringing that is that means she wasn't seeing a lot of ministry stuff. It was just us hanging out. Maybe some of my close friends from the ministry, but she wasn't like going on conferences, going to this. So then when the season of conference came up, then she's like, oh, there was a very different schedule then. Then I was like gone all the time and always different places. We'd be like, let's go to this tonight or tomorrow. I was like, oh, babe, I forgot. Like, no, I'm going to Arizona tomorrow. Like, I can't, so we can't go to this. Then Brazil. So, sorry, this is all the context to get to. I saw Brazil was coming up like in a week and a half, but I hadn't seen her. We were kind of fighting for me not connecting too well. And so I was like, I don't want to bring up Brazil. It's just going to create a fight because it's now a week and a half. And so then it's got probably
You're
like,
going away for 10 days.
Yeah. And then I got like, I think I go to something else. And then I just remember, and I was going so fast at my room was like a mess. It was just during that 3-month season. It was the book and that 3 months was just the heaviest it had ever been. I was dating, learning how to do that in this new way. And then, I remember thinking of my room was just get the clothes, put in my bag, and I'm out the next day because I was just saying yes to so many things. And it was the day before Brazil, so somehow I still didn't bring it up. And she's like, all right, this week, she was trying to make plans for the week. It was like a Sunday. And I legit, this is how fast I was going, is I still didn't remember Brazil. And so I was like, yeah. She's like, can we do this or that? I was like, yeah, I think so. That'd be awesome. And I'm looking, let me look at what I'm doing. I might be somewhere this week. And that's like, dang, Brazil. And so that's like, I knew it kind of, but I wasn't like top of mind. And because we still are kind of like this. Until we're there, we're not even there. So my heart sunk as I was like, I can't not tell her now because it's tomorrow. I'm leaving for Brazil for 10 days. So I tell her, babe, you're going to be so mad. I'm so sorry. Like, she could just tell, and I'm just like, I'm going to, it wasn't just Denver this time. And it wasn't just for one day. It's like, I'm going for 10 days to another country. And it's the first time you're hearing about it. And she broke up with me that night. So,
did she?
Yeah. So
I'm like, we're done.
Yeah. So she's like, this is the last straw. Like, so we broke up. And honestly, again, because I was so fast paced, and guys, unfortunately, we can be this way where girls are a lot more tuned to their emotions faster, at least. She was a lot more sad that night. I was kind of like sad, but also the next 10 days, I would say I had a blast. It was great. I thought I really left thinking, all right, good riddance. Like, she really didn't support my calling anyway.
Oh my goodness.
And like, she's always giving me a hard time because I'm trying to serve God and serve all these people.
Oh my gosh.
And like, really not the best. But like happens in a lot of relationships where a guy and a girl break up, the girl's sad, she gets a little bit better. The guy's like, oh, it's great. Then it starts sinking in what happened as he slows down enough to process it. And maybe it was that new 3 months of slowing down. And I'm like, dang, that was so bad. That was so dumb. Yeah. And there was a lot more good than I was like realizing, but I was too fast paced to realize. And I was spiraling because that room I felt like was a great representation of my heart and my soul. It was like, is it functional? Yes, like it can get by, but this is this is
not living.
Yeah, this is not the way it's supposed to be, and you can still make a huge impact, but not that. So, a lot of people recommended "Emotionally Healthy Leader" by Pete Scazzaro. And those assessment questions were super helpful. And then I always want to give like huge credit to also Jonathan Pokluda, because he had just gone through a burnout about 3 years before. And I just so remember talking to him and him. When I shared about burnout, I was like, have you ever gone through that? Or I just feel like, I know I'm only like, I think 26 or 7 at that point. So I'm like so young, I feel like embarrassed to say maybe I'm going through a burnout. But I was like, I'm failing all these assessment questions. And I feel like my scorecard is really missing. But I always thought I was like actually doing amazing as a young leader.
Right.
But there's like things
because the only
that no one's
scorecard
ever...
anybody's paying attention to is your demand. How much demand are you in? Yeah.
But he was like, bro, I totally have been through a burnout just 3 months ago. It wasn't like this huge public thing, but within the staff, they helped me out. And I just remember him putting his hand on my shoulder. He's like, bro, I'm here for you. We want to make sure you're in the game. You got to be healthy. We want to see you like finish well and like however I can help. And it was just cool to know, to have him there. It was probably 6 months. We were broken up pretty early into those months. I was trying to get her back, but she was very, I'd say, borderline mean to me to not let me in.
Rightly
or just
so.
like guarded.
Rightly so.
She was firm, yeah.
I was clear. Wasn't trying to lead you on in any way.
That's good.
Yeah, it took time. And that book was really, as you know, I mean, this is your world. It was way more than just my pace. I was like, I remember reading Emotionally Healthy Leader, and it like changed. I called my family. Certain individuals in my family asked for forgiveness, like said, hey, I want to be more intentional with my family. I really feel like it was almost, I would say, like a second salvation in the sense of salvation is such a trajectory changing event in your life. I think sometimes in life we have these like epiphany or revelations or like rock bottom moments that change our scorecard in the trajectory of life. Even post Christ is that different, and that really changed my scorecard going forward.
It happened when I was 29. So that's when the whole thing fell apart for me, and God so graciously pulled it back together. And I'm here to report many decades since, when you shift, as we do the original salvation, when you shift along the lines of living out of a healthy soul, you never know the doors that God will open, but you go through them from a place of steadiness and joy and lightness. There's exertion. There's times of great travel and all things. Man, I would talk to you guys all day, but we have to wrap up.
Yeah. If I can get 2 minutes just to wrap up.
You may wrap up, and then I want to make sure I want you guys to both say, like, how do people stay in touch with you? Because they've already fallen in love with you both, as I did in an instance. So what are your 2 minutes?
This kind of ties a bow on kind of the Paul thing. And that's why I bring up Paul is the tension for me. And I think anyone who does have this like pace already within them to like do something, to move. We all have that in some degree, and we express it in different vehicles. But I like what Cheyanne said about Paul, because I resonate with his pace was always fast, even pre-Christ. And then he became a Christian. He's like, and I'm going to continue at that pace. That's my pace or capacity. He didn't maybe change his pace as much as he changed his direction. I still wrestle with the tension of like, did he have great boundaries? Because I feel like he definitely exerted himself in ways where I'm like, man, are you taking care of yourself? And if you had a family, could they be connected to you? And maybe that's why you didn't choose to do that. All the different questions around Paul. But I just, I walked away from that season. And luckily she's so strong in the area of emotional health and inner transformation. I walked away like, yes, exert yourself. Because my thing was the disciples and Paul and these guys, they all definitely pushed themselves, and they definitely at a cost to themselves. And so if it's hard, that's good Christianity. Like if it's hard and you're tired or spent, even like my pastor at that time would say, you should come home spent. And like, I gave it all this day. And I think my scorecard changed to like, yes, exert yourself in great ways that it might even be sacrificial in major ways, but never to the degree to where you're now losing your relationship with God to impact people.
Correct.
And that's different for everyone. I think everyone might know when that is.
Pay attention to.
Yeah, it's like I'm losing my relationship with God to impact God's people.
I always say that if of all the costs that Jesus has told us to count, and we should count a cost, one of them was never meant to be an ever interior diminishing interior life.
Good.
Anyway, go ahead. Yeah. How can people find out about you guys? Thank you, Grant.
Connect with us on Instagram. I'm not on social media a ton these days, but pop in there every now and then.
Do you have a website?
Skeldon.
Well, luckily,
have a website,
CheyanneSkeldon.com.
There we go. Thank you. Oh, you both have your name as the .com?
No, I've never seen Skeldon, the last name, before. So we always get your Cheyanne Skeldon, at Grant Skeldon.
Great.
My first
we'll
middle
put it
and
all in
last
show
name
notes and stuff like that, because I really want people to be following your journey, tracking with your ministry, learning from Think and Barna and all the other great circles that you're involved with. But I really consider you are exemplars of the great hope I have for the future of leaders. And so keep all that intensity, keep lighting the candles, keep drinking the jet fuel, but make sure you're doing both.
Yeah. Thanks, Mindy.
So thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you came.
Us.
I know everyone's going to want to follow you. So take good care. Thanks for joining us. Glad you were part of this, and hang out with us as often as you can. Take care.